Welcome back to our case presentation series. We're discussing this month a couple things that have come across the clinic that I think are kind of fun outside of the traditional realm of a traditional chiropractic practice and what they see. A couple things that are even further outside of that that kind of make us scratch our head for a second and then get to work with some other medical professionals and get them referred on to the right care. But our first thing we're going to discuss this week is a case of hip pain that would come on with running, stay on with running, and then be just fine the rest of the day. This particular person came in, they were training for a big race. They were slowly adding in some volume on their training runs. They were also adding in some strength stuff on their workouts. Everything was fairly well managed. Volume increase was pretty tolerable to them. They were doing really well. Hydration, sleep, recovery, all that stuff was really, really good. We just started having this hip pain that just wouldn't go away close to race time. And as close to a big thing you've been training for, one of the big worries is, crap, am I actually going to be able to do this? And that was one of the things we really need to work with this person, but we also need to figure out, obviously, what's causing the hip pain, what was causing the burning. So we went back, we assessed a few things. Hip joint itself, the pain that they were feeling was kind of on the side of the hip, kind of the front. It's fairly normal for some actual like hip stuff. Assessed the hip actually seemed to be okay. But we also know a lot of times that where it's painful isn't exactly where the problem is coming from. So we also went back and assessed a few things in the low back, and we did a few tests just to see if we could affect what was going on in the hip when we moved the low back, and we could. So that turned into a hip that was hip pain that was actually coming from the low back. So the low back has nerves, the upper part of the low back and the lower part of the low back. So don't get too confused. There's an upper part of the low back and a lower part of the low back that can feed into some stuff in the side of the hip. And if something's going on in either the upper part of the low back or the lower part of the low back, you can cause some sensations, some pain, some numbing, some tingly, some different stuff going on in the hip itself and even down the thigh. So a lot of times, we took a step back. We started off on a particular exercise, seemed to work for a little bit. They ran, they had less pain, came back, but they still had the pain. Great. Getting closer to race time, reassessed, went back, tried something a little bit different. Didn't have any effect on that. Luckily, we had this person giving us enough time before competition or before the race that we had some time to work with them a little bit. Last day came in. Said, the normal stuff we try isn't quite cutting it. Still, it's working a little bit, but it's not. So it's kind of in our mind frame a yellow light. So we either needed to speed up with the yellow light or slam on the brake and possibly change direction on the yellow light. So that's we did. We changed the direction. We changed up some of the rehab stuff a little bit, and pain was gone. So waiting to hear back from that person. It's kind of a terrible lead-in because the event was actually this past weekend. They haven't followed up with it yet, so I don't know how it went. Hopefully we'll have a good report next time, and hope by the time this video comes out, I'll be able to post something down below that says, hey, this is how this person did. But yeah, that was the case of hip pain that wasn't actually the hip's fault. It was actually coming from the upper part of the low back. Once we got it assessed correctly, we can plug in a great rehab strategy to do at home and great treatment here to really get things feeling better. So if you're dealing with hip issues, you've tried a bunch of different stuff, remember a lot of times the hip will hurt even though it's not the hip's fault. So sometimes we need to look at the mobility and how well things are moving in the low back. So hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below.